I'm going to read this out loud, the very famous 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird by Wallace Stevenson, a poem from 1917. It seems so contemporary. Okay. One.
Excuse me, Nicole, could you go to the next slide, please? We need to see the poems up there. Thank you.
Yeah. 1. Among 20 snowy mountains, the only moving thing was the eye of the blackbird. 2. I was of 3 minds, like a tree in which there are 3 blackbirds. 3. The blackbird whirled in the autumn winds. It was a small part of the pantomime. 4. A man and a woman are one. A man, a woman, and a blackbird are one. 5. I do not know which to prefer, the beauty of inflections or the beauty of innuendos, the blackbird whistling or just after. 6. Icicles filled the long window with barbaric glass. The shadow of the blackbird crossed it to and fro. The mood traced in the shadow an indecipherable cause. 7. O thin men of Haddam, why do you imagine golden birds? Do you not see how the blackbird walks around the feet of the women about you? 8. I know noble accents and lucid, inescapable rhythms, but I know too that the blackbird is involved in what I know. 9. When the blackbird flew out of sight, it marked the edge of one of many circles. 10. At the sight of blackbirds flying in a green light, even the bawds of euphony would cry out sharply. 11. He rode over Connecticut in a glass coach. Once a fear pierced him in that he mistook the shadow of his equipage for blackbirds. 12. The river is moving. The blackbird must be flying. 13. It was evening all afternoon. It was snowing, and it was going to snow. The blackbird sat in the cedar limbs.
Okay. Well, one thing I think we perhaps should have said to start with is we're not going to spend a lot of time analyzing this one. We're going to analyze, in this session, we're going to read very, very closely two pairings. One is a painting and a poem, and the other pairing will be nonfiction. In this one, we really just want to illustrate one way to use the talkback as a way to encourage students to look very carefully at a particular iconic poem or a very serious poem, and then also, as Robin said, an activity that you might be able to do in your own classes that will engage students in thinking about these poems. So the Wallace Stevens one most people are probably familiar with. It's a very interesting poem about perspective. Robin, do you have anything else to say about it before we go on and let Erin take over?
It's not an easy poem, as we know, but it's strangely one I find kids sort of take to because it's so a little bit weird. One of the ways that it's interesting to approach it is as a sort of piece of film and consider where the camera is and what the eye is looking at. It's one approach. Certainly talking about it as a piece of modernist art is another one. But as Renee said, what we're going to show you here, I think, is another way to bring it to life and again, open up another possible activity.